Good afternoon, everybody. This is the August 2nd, 2018 afternoon session of the Portland City Council. Carla, please call the roll.
Saltzman, Udaley, Fritz.
Here.
Fish.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Portland City Council. City Council represents all Portlanders and meets to do the city's business. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during the City Council meetings so everyone can feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. To participate in council meetings, you may sign up in advance with the council clerk's office for communications to briefly speak about any subject. You may also sign up for public testimony on resolutions or the first readings of ordinances. Your testimony should address the matter being considered at the time. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. When you have 30 seconds left, a yellow light goes on. When your time is done, a red light goes on. If you are in the audience and would like to show your support for something that is said, please feel free to do a thumbs up. If you want to express that you do not support something, please feel free to do a thumbs down. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting or interrupting testimony or council deliberations, will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being ejected for the remainder of the meeting. After being ejected, a person who fails to leave the meeting is subject to arrest for trespass. Thank you for helping your fellow Portlanders feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe.
Very good. Thank you. And before we call the first item, I note that we have a translator, ASL translator. You feel free to move about the room wherever is easiest for you to position yourself, and feel free to take a chair. You don't necessarily have to sit right there if you don't want. First item, please, item 808.
City of Portland Project Search Pilot Program Report.
Commissioner Fish.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, I'm honored this afternoon to present to Council a report on the first year of the Project Search Pilot Internship Program. Several years ago, staff from Community Access Services and Project Search introduced me to this incredible opportunity for the City of Portland. Project Search is an internship program for young adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities. It provides real-world marketable skills that prepare them for future jobs. After hearing about it, I wanted to see it for myself. So I headed to Seattle, where I toured the City of Seattle's supportive employment program for people with intellectual disabilities. I met with their staff, including one of their employees who manages one of the archives of the Planning Bureau. And frankly, I was blown away. With the help of Anna Canwit and the Bureau of Human Resources and the Project Search team, we built this pilot and started it in 2 bureaus, the Bureau of Environmental Services and the Water Bureau. In October of 2017, we kicked off the first year with 5 local young adults, and it has exceeded our expectations. Throughout this program, we've learned that it is not only a great experience for the interns, but it's also a powerful experience for our employees. And we have also learned that when we remove barriers and help build a more inclusive workplace, everybody wins. After a successful first year, we are pleased to announce that we have created 2 paid positions, one in the Water Bureau and one in BES. Project Search has been a transformational pilot program, and one of the many programs that I hope we develop at the city that provides pathways towards employment and independence for people of varying abilities. Now I'm happy to introduce our panel, who will speak more in depth about the program, and I'd ask you to come forward. Ani E. Keenan, the Supported Employment Lead at the Bureau of Human Resources. Murr Stevens from Community Access Services. Carol Stalkey from the Water Bureau. And Trey Snyder, one of the interns who participated in this program. Before we begin, we have a short video for council and the audience, which was created by Brian Bala, who works with the Water Bureau. And I'd also like to acknowledge the other interns who are here today, Ivory and Per Michael. Thanks for joining us. And now the video.
For working with Bureau of Environmental Services at their Clement Boulevard wastewater plant.
I completed 100 lead testing kits in one day.
I'm updating maps in the book and fire hydrant inspections.
I have a great sense of humor.
Trey Schneider.
I'm Per Michael Jarnberg.
Ivory Yasmin Broom.
Project Search came to the City of Portland because of Commissioner Nick Fish. The program model is a proven model. It's been in effect for about 20 years, and it's a 9-month program where interns have the opportunity to experience 3 different roles at the host business. In this case, the Bureau of Environmental Services and the Water Bureau with the City of Portland, and they get to try out different roles on different teams and do necessary work that helps the business function. And through that experience, learning the lessons, making mistakes and getting mentored through the feedback they get because of them, they get job skills that they can take to work in the real world.
I've been getting along with everyone here. It makes me feel good.
I'm helping create the digital records for some stuff in the case that there's an inquiry for, through public records for whatever it is that they need.
I felt happy and excited about myself. It feels good to be proud of what I learned and what I accomplished here at the Water Bureau.
The stigmas that I grew up with are not always true everywhere. Here they have understanding and they're willing to work around that, and so that when I'm able to get my feet going, they'll be able to run with me.
A couple of years ago, someone from Project Search came to see me at City Hall, talked about the program and the way it changes lives. And it's clear that we've tapped into something that's really important. As much as this program benefits people that historically were denied opportunities to do work like this, it also turns out that the people working at my bureaus have really felt lifted by being part of this program, and that they have felt the pride in welcoming new co-workers and helping to remove barriers in the workplace that a generation ago prevented a lot of people in our community from being able to do public service. Very nice. And I think we have all the stars of the video that are here today, so let's give them a round of applause for doing a great job. So who's going first?
That would be me.
Okay, go ahead.
So, my name is Anna E. Keenan, and I am the Disability Resources and Employment Specialist with the Bureau of Human Resources. And so, as you know, the City of Portland is committed to being an employer of choice for all equity communities, but especially to be a model employer for people with disabilities. So I wanted to provide a little bit of context for the Project Search program by talking a little bit about the unemployment rates for people with disabilities. Because both nationally and locally, unemployment rates for people with disabilities are significantly higher than those of people who don't. So for example, here in Oregon, the Oregon Office on Disability and Health recently had a report that noted that the Oregonians with disabilities had an unemployment rate of about 25.9%, whereas it would comparatively about 60% for people who did not have disabilities. So people with disabilities were employed at less than half the rate of people without disabilities. And in particular, for people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, I mean, the statistics are just very shocking. So the unemployment rate is at least 75%, and there's some recent studies to indicate it could be as high as 85%. Of those who are employed, is it meaningful employment? Is it one where they are actually part of the work community that they're in and not segregated into doing very menial tasks? So, Commissioner Fish noted, Project Search is an internship program that provides work opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so we have a wonderful panel here today to talk about the first phase of the program, which ran from 2017 to 2018. And then later on, I'll talk a little bit about the second phase of the program and our vision for beyond.
Thank you very much. Mer?
Thank you.
My name is Mer Stevens. I'm the Supported Employment Manager for Community Access Services. So the fundamental idea behind Employment First, which is a statewide policy that says that people of working age who have disabilities should have the opportunity to work. And really the idea is that our lives, the purpose of our lives should be spent, engaging in the community in ways that are meaningful as well as productive and help us to give us the purpose and the meaning of our lives. And that people who experience intellectual developmental disabilities shouldn't be denied that opportunity and need the supports necessary in order to make that a reality. So, I really come from the perspective that the barriers that people face to employment usually boil down to a lack of experience and a lack of opportunity. And so Project Search, especially Project Search with the City of Portland, is really targeted to take on those specific barriers. And it was really exciting being able to participate in this program. So the model itself is that throughout 9 months, every day, the interns came to work at the Water Bureau and at the Bureau of Environmental Services. They started with an hour in the morning in classroom activities, focused on things like resume writing, professionalism skills, getting ready for a workday in a real working environment. For 5 hours, they went to work doing necessary work in the Water Bureau and BES, doing everything from updating the maps of the water system in our city, digitizing and archiving records, creating lead test kits and distributing them to the households who have requested them. Work that needed to get done that in many cases was very difficult for employees to find time to do. And so they were side by side with employees, members of the team. And throughout that program, we really are able to tailor the service that we provide to target the challenges that people are experiencing. Is everybody kind of having a hard time hearing feedback in a way that helps them to implement it and change what they're doing and to grow? Well, let's talk about feedback at work. And throughout the 9 months, we were able to really design a program that meets the needs of the people participating. We had 5 participants, and so that small size lets us really focus on their needs and helping them to grow and to develop into folks that are really excited about taking on work. And so our commitment to graduates, Community Access Services is the provider organization. Once folks have graduated from the program, our commitment is that they are able to find jobs that are better than the jobs they could have gotten prior to the program. And so the city has been an amazing partner in creating 2 jobs specifically for graduates of the program that are really tailored to meet the skills and the abilities of those folks. And so the 3 other people that have graduated come into the services that we provide, where we work with local businesses to tailor positions in those businesses, to say we have people who have a superpower and who have proven to the City of Portland that that is a necessary, meaningful work, and we can help them do that work for your business and be a benefit all around. So this program took a lot of work from a lot of different bodies in order to administer. So my employer, Community Access Services, we are the provider. My team, the staff on the ground every day, providing job coaching, providing the classroom instruction, making sure that everything was being coordinated appropriately with the various partners. But the City of Portland also did an enormous amount of work to make sure that it was coordinated well. And Commissioner Fish, I want to thank you for lending us the BES teams and the Water Bureau teams, as well as a lot of your staff, to make sure that this went off well. They're an incredible partner to work with. We also work with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. They sit on the steering committee. They're one of our funding sources. They also provide us their expertise and the supports that people need in order to get hired and get good jobs, as well as Multnomah County Intellectual Developmental Disability Services. They also sit on our steering committee. They're also a funding source. The State Department of DHS has been an enormous source of the grant money that kicked off this project, as well as some guidance and support throughout this process. And so all of these players coming together to lend their expertise to guide this program forward, I think is really, really what that success is based upon. And so I think that the power of this model is the real meaningful work that people are doing. For many, many years, the opportunities available to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities really were very limited. In the state of Oregon, sheltered workshops were the name of the game for a long time, and that's a place, it's essentially a segregated work environment where people are doing work that is totally divorced from the impact that it'll have on the world. Piecework, small assembly, packaging, and in a group of people who all have disabilities who often aren't held to standards except that their paycheck will be reduced based on the amount that they produce, and so sub-minimum wage. And the state of Oregon has taken a radical shift away from that in the past few years and has implemented an employment first perspective. And it's really exciting to be part of Project Search at the City of Portland, because it really puts forward the City of Portland as a model of what it could look like for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to be integrated generally into the workplace, to have a niche where they contribute in real and meaningful ways, and they see the impact of their work, their teams need them, and that's just a typical day. And so having the opportunity to really help take those steps forward has been an enormous privilege. And so another thing that I think is really important, and I'll close on this, is that we have the opportunity to use this model with the City of Portland, throughout our work, to be able to hold up the city as an employer that's willing to take a person with an intellectual and a developmental disability and put them at the center of the workday, and to show other employers in the city that this works. It's a way of getting things done. It's a way of really, helping a team come together, and that supported employment, integrated employment, is a positive thing for everybody. And so we are looking forward to further collaboration. I think that the successes of the 5 folks that are here today are just incredible. I am embarrassing Trey, I think, right now, but I'm enormously proud of these 5 folks: Trey Schneider, Benton Young, Ivory Broom, Cynthia Jones, and Per Michael Jarnberg. These 5 people have done incredible work with the city, and the impact that they've had on everybody in Portland is something that I really hope they are all proud of. And so I really want to thank them for showing everybody what this work really can do.
Well, thank you very much. My list has us going to Carol and then coming back to Trey. So Carol, is that right?
Yes.
Are you next?
Yeah.
Carol, take it away.
We can wait till the end. I'm Carol Stolke. I'm the program coordinator in the safety department at the Portland Water Bureau, and also I've been the business liaison for Project Search at the interstate facility. We started Project Search in March of 2017. We planned for 9 months, 6 interns, and 3 rotations. I worked with all of the different departments at Interstate, and we got meaningful work for them. We went through water quality, dispatch, the lab, timekeeping, records management, the GIS, and mapping. I'm constantly building a strong skill set for them to put on the resume and be able to, gain future employment. The one thing that I am committing to is continuing to work and find jobs for the remaining interns that we haven't hired at the city as of today. But I commit to them. And I'll work with the different organizations throughout the state. The one thing I wanted to talk about was the impacts on the workplace. One thing that I've observed is just having the interns in our area, we have a more open and compassionate workplace. And I think that's a definition of inclusivity. The impacts I've seen on the interns from their first day to now is been wonderful. Their self-esteem and confidence went up every time they completed a task and received the praise that we all gave them. And then the proof that it's been a positive experience is after graduation, still to this day, my coworkers come up to me and ask me, you know, where the interns are, and they miss them and they wish that they could come back. I am really happy and excited for any bureaus that can take this opportunity and experience the wonderful growth that we've seen here at the Water Bureau. I strongly recommend the program to go citywide. I've worked with the interns for a long time now, and I see that they have goals, they have aspirations, and they have pride in their work just like any of us. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And Murr, thank you for joining us today. And let's move a mic over a little bit so he has, and the floor is yours.
I hope I'm done blushing for this one, but seriously.
Oh, you're doing great.
But for the record, my name is Trey Schneider, and I was an intern that actually had the distinction of working at BES for my entire rotation. But I'll speak for everyone else, Ivory and Michael included, but honestly, I don't think any of us had really any idea how much fun we were actually going to have, or any expectations of what was going to happen. So when we walked in first day, I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one that was nervous, but every coworker looked at us, they asked us who we were, and they said hello with a smile. And Ivory actually worked and had such a rapport that everyone knew that she was coming because you could just hear her and just feel her smile that she had. See, there you go, you're smiling again. But we honestly knew that as city employees, we knew we had standards to set to. We looked at this and said this could be one of our shots. And we were ready to commit as best we could, and oh boy.
You're doing great.
It's not my strong suit, I'll say that. But
And your non-strong suits must be really good.
my what?
If this is not, you seem like you're doing really well.
Thank you. But when we looked at this and we saw what we need, and we looked at what was actually needed to be done, we looked at this and we saw a challenge. We looked at this and said, this is work that needs to be done, let's get this done. And in some cases, we had this work done before the rotations were over, and we had to send our coworkers scrambling to find us more work. So, and honestly, at the end of it, it was bittersweet. We actually were looking at who we had and the connections we had with our coworkers, and everyone knew that, oh, the intern's here, let's all have fun. It was just we brought something, and I still don't even know what to name it or what we had, but when interns with challenges have the correct support, the right accommodations, and an open and understanding environment, we can be your best employees. We have a determination. We know we're different. We know we're not the same, and we have it to want to prove that we can be just as good as the person sitting next to us. So, it was honestly bittersweet to know that when our last day approached, I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the only one that looked at my supervisor and said, "Can I still come in on Monday?"
Yeah. Are you coming on Monday?
Huh?
Are you going to come in on Monday?
Of course I would be.
Well, share.
But I also know that I was actually offered a job at BES just this last Tuesday, working as what they call a community service aide. And hopefully once I'm able to pass the correct background checks that I can start on the 13th of August.
That's great.
So none of us actually had an idea, and not even our coworkers knew what to expect and what the bar was set. But when we looked at that, we saw the bar, we took it, we ran. So whichever bureau within the city of Portland takes on new interns, or if Commissioner Fish, your department takes on more interns, they have a high bar apparently to follow. That is apparently the next challenge, is to see what us as the pilot has done and to set above that, if they can.
Well done. Congratulations on the offer of employment.
Thank you.
Richly deserved. Ms. Keenan, did you want to wrap up?
Yeah. So obviously, some very positive feedback from the first phase. So I do want to talk a little bit about what's coming up next. The Bureau of Human Resources, as of July 2018, has been coordinating the second phase of the Project Search pilot. So besides facilitating the onboarding of the 2 new hires for BES and Water, we're also going to be expanding the internship program to 2 new bureaus, BHR and Parks. So we'll be connecting 6 to 8 new interns and placing them with work experiences in the 2 bureaus. So this is a great opportunity for us as a city as well to really begin building the foundation and structure for a citywide supported employment program. So we'll be using the next phase to really be collecting information from internal and external stakeholders on, how can we, what are the ways that we can expand and grow this citywide? What are some considerations that we need to take into our thought? And also we'll be connecting with the supported employment programs in the city of Seattle and OHSU, as well as other successful supported employment programs, to kind of do research and evaluation and figure out what were the best practices that we can import to the city of Portland for our supported employment program. And so by next fall, with the rollout of the new class cost structure, a citywide supported employment program will be created. The structure will be created for doing so. And that's really exciting because it's going to offer additional internship and employment opportunities for all people with disabilities here at the city of Portland. So that is a wonderful long-term goal and vision that we have for the next year.
Couldn't do it without you. Mayor, that concludes both the oral and written report to council. This panel is open to taking questions, and after that, we'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
Very good. And I just want to respond to the comments you just made and say I am enthusiastically supportive of this being a citywide vision. I think it's very, very important that we set the standard and continue to build the momentum that's building not only here in the community but nationally around this important issue. And I want to thank everybody who took the time to testify today and provided a very compelling case on the positive value of this program, not only to those who served as interns, but to the enterprise itself. And anytime I hear somebody say fun, that perks my attention. So I want to thank you all very much for having participated, and I want to thank those in the program who helped support this program. I want to thank the employees in our bureaus who worked to make this a success. Commissioner Fish, I absolutely have to say I admire your efforts here tremendously, and I think it paints a great vision for the city, as I say, and I want to thank you for bringing this forward.
Well, if there are no questions for our panel, we entertain a motion to accept the report.
I would move adoption of the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll, Carla.
Saltzman?
Well, I'm very proud to be a Portlander today, and very proud to be an Oregonian, too, after hearing about this effort occurring really at the statewide level. So the efforts to help people with disabilities to have jobs and participate in life just like we do, ups and downs. Do you get a fair lot of work like we do sometimes? Not always. So I really want to say, Commissioner Fish, this is a home run. I really admire your leadership in bringing this to the Bureau of Environmental Services and to the Water Bureau. to the Project Search people, and to the Bureau of Human Resources, too. And I know Anna Canwit felt very strongly about this as well, our former Director of Human Resources. So as I said, I'm just very proud to be a Portlander today, and will do everything I can to make sure this program remains. And Trey, you got a lot of weight on your shoulders here being the first, Trey and Ivy and the others, but I think you're cut out for it. I think you're up for it. So I think you will blaze a trail here that many will follow, and we'll look back at you and your success, and we'll say, wow, it all started with Trey, Ivy, and Per, and a few other people. So thank you.
You won't regret it, honestly.
I don't think we will at all.
None of us as interns or Water Bureau BS have regretted any second that we had.
I'm convinced already we won't have any regrets. Thank you. Aye.
Fritz.
Thank you, Commissioner Fish, for agreeing to do this program, for the partnership with the Bureau of Human Resources, and particularly for all of the people who are here today, both the interns. It's impressive how many of your colleagues are here to support you and are here to share in the success of this program. And I'm mindful of Ms. Stalkey saying that it made the whole workplace kinder as well as more fun. And so thank you to everybody who made this program a success. Commissioner Fish co-sponsored with me the legislation that made the City of Portland a model employer of people with disabilities. So I'm really pleased that Parks is going to be the next bureau to implement the program along with Human Resources. I'm also proud of the fact that the city's equity initiative is the only one in the country that looks at first race and also disability and ability. So it's doing more of the work, and yet there's still so much more to do. So this is a good start, and it shows that it can be done. You know, you have set the bar, as you said, and you others will know that it can be done. And so thank you to everybody who's been involved in this. Aye.
Fish.
Well, Mayor and colleagues, this is a very proud day today for the bureaus that I have the honor of leading, the Bureau of Environmental Services and the Water Bureau. And Mayor, I want to thank you for your strong words of encouragement. And colleagues, I sincerely hope that we can take this pilot program and bring it to all the bureaus of the city and ultimately create long-term permanent employment for graduates of the program. I have a lot of people to thank this afternoon. I want to begin with my bureau's leadership, especially directors Mike Stewart and Mike Jordan, deputy directors Dawn Uchiyama and Gabe Salmer. They were committed to and supportive of the success of this program from day one. I want to thank the key staff and leadership of the bureaus who work closely with the interns, including Carol and Sophia, James, Michael, and so many others that bought into this and are really the quiet heroes. I want to thank the Project Search team and our partners, Murr, Bob, and Nicholas in particular. I want to thank BHR, past and present. We would not be here today without strong support under the prior and current leadership. And I want to thank Anna E. and Anna and Cyrilda in particular for your leadership and guidance. I want to thank all the organizations that advised us throughout this process, starting with the City of Seattle that embraced this ahead of us, but helped show us the way. And I want to thank in particular the Project Search Steering Committee and the Portland Commission on Disability. I want to thank two people on my team, past and present, Senna Lawrence, who's been working on this, and she's here today, and Liam Frost, who spent a lot of time both in my office and at the Water Bureau helping to get this right. Lastly, I'd like to thank the interns and their families. And Mayor, if I may I ask the family members that are here as they are able to stand and be recognized? Family members of the interns, and let's. Obviously, we want to thank you for your support and for taking time today to join us. Your children have inspired us with their service to our city and the possibilities for our future. We don't get to spend many days like this celebrating successes and human interest stories that are as compelling as this. And I had the honor in the last 10 years to be involved in a lot of things that I'm proud of. But as Dan said, I'm especially proud today to be able to accept this report and make a personal commitment to continue to expand this program citywide. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Well, I've given most of my talking points already. I'll just say this. I'll go back to some of the facts that were put out on the table by our panel. 85% unemployment. 85% unemployment. And you heard the compelling nature of the testimony. You heard the benefit of this kind of a program. And again, it's twofold benefit. It's not just a benefit to the interns, it is a benefit to the enterprise. And ultimately, I believe it's a benefit to the community. And while I guess technically I signed up to be the mayor of a city, what I really want to be is the mayor of a community. And this is the kind of program where working with people throughout the community, we find that leveraging point. We find that opportunity to not only do the right thing, but also address some very serious underlying economic injustices that still exist in our community. So again, thank you to all involved. Thank you again, Commissioner Fish. And yes, I will underscore my commitment to this being a city-wide initiative. But I also want to acknowledge and respect the steps, the thoughtful steps that you are taking to make sure that as we do that, it rolls out in a thoughtful and pragmatic way. I enthusiastically vote aye. The report is accepted.
Mayor, since we're a little ahead of schedule, can we get a quick photograph?
Absolutely. We'll take a brief recess.
And can we have the other interns join us for a photograph?
I gotta just get a receipt for that.
please, 813.
813, authorize a grant agreement with Albertina Kerr Centers to acquire bicycles and operate adaptive bike town pilot project in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Colleagues, as you know, this is a second reading. It has already been heard. There's been a presentation and public testimony on this item. There's nothing further. Carla, please call the roll.
Saltzman.
Well, I just want to thank Albertina Kerr and PBOT. This is also a program that provides people with disabilities the opportunity to be employed in preparing bicycles and maintaining the bicycles, the adaptive bicycle program we have down on the waterfront. Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Next item, 814, also a second reading.
Rescind Resolution 35486, TRN 3.102, and adopt new parking meter district policy to better manage parking in the city.
Colleagues, any further discussion? Seeing none, Carla, please call the roll.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Next item, 815, also a second reading.
Adopt new parking pricing and event district policy as outlined in the Parking Management Manual to establish guidelines for managing public parking in the city.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted, and the last second reading is item 816, please, Carla.
Authorize intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $20,000 with Clackamas County for the activation of the Clackamas County Emergency Notification System.
Please call the roll.
Saltzman.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Fish.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. We're still a little ahead of schedule. Do we have the folks here for 811? Yes, we do. Come on up. Carla, could you read 811?
Accept bid of Brown Contracting, Inc. for the West Burnside Street from Southwest 18th Avenue to Southwest 19th Avenue Multimodal Safety Improvements Project for $1,537,617.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners. I'm Lester Spittler, the Chief Procurement Officer. You're used to seeing Larry Palat here, but he has the day off, so this is my first time. I'm here to present this report. So you have before you the procurement report recommending the contract to Brown Contracting.
Step back a little bit from there. You go. Thanks.
For the project in the amount of $1,537,617. The engineer's estimate on this project was $1,949,125, and the Bureau's confidence level was moderate. On February 21st, 2018, Council approved ordinance number 188827 for the procurement services to competitively solicit for the project. The project was advertised on the city's electronic procurement system, and bids were opened on June 14th, 2018. We received 3 bids in response to the solicitation, and Brown Contracting is the lowest responsive and responsible contractor, and their bid is $411,508, or 21.11% under the engineer's estimate. The Portland Bureau of Transportation, along with Procurement Services, identified an aspirational goal of 25% for disadvantaged minority, women-owned, and emerging small business, subcontractor, and supplier utilization. There was a total of $54,632,000, or 3.55% of DMWESB subcontractor utilization for the project, apportioned as follows. For a disadvantaged business enterprise, there is $54,632, and amongst that, 3 firms will be providing or performing trucking, flagging, and concrete cutting. While the participation number is low, Brown Contracting has staff on hand that is available and equipment to use for the work, and it is more efficient for them to self-perform the work and utilize their equipment than to contract it out. They have committed to looking for more subcontractable areas if their backlog of work increases and they no longer have available staff and equipment to leverage for this project. On their most recent project, they achieved 17%, so they do have a good track record. Brown Contracting is not a State of Oregon certified DMW ESB firm. They are located in Eugene, Oregon, and they have a current City of Portland business tax registration number and are in full compliance with the city's contracting requirements. If the council has any questions regarding the project or bidding process, I can answer those, or we have Scott Cohen from PBOT here in the audience, as well as, I believe, Sean Emmerich from Brown Contracting as well.
Colleagues, any further questions? Commissioner Fritz.
I have a question for Brown Contracting.
Thank you. And if you could just state your name for the record, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sean Emmerich with Brown Contracting.
And are you from Eugene?
I am from Eugene.
I thought I'd ask you a question if you came all the way up here.
I did.
I'm just wondering what your company's efforts are to diversify your own workforce, since you're not going to be subcontracting very much of the work.
Good question. We have a pretty good diverse workforce with just in Hispanic people working in our company. Mostly live up here in the Portland area. We're always open. We're always welcome new employees. Right now, manpower is pretty tough.
Do you happen to know the numbers, the percentage of?
I think we have 90 employees, and we have about 21 Hispanic or African American or Native American, so it's over 20%.
And what's about male-female balance?
We have 5 females, so 5 out of 90, a little over 5, about 5%.
And have you been thinking about how you can diversify your company even more?
We advertise real hard. In fact, we're down to putting signs up in Home Depots and Lowe's and places like that, looking for people, anybody, not just, diversity, but just workers.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
We have similar challenges at the city, and so, procurement might be able to give you some suggestions on outreach to Oregon tradeswomen and some of the other minority firms that might be able to partner with you on that. So, but thank you for your bid. It's nice to see it coming in so much.
Yeah, we saved you $400,000.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I like that last line very much. Great. Any further questions? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to accept the report. Please call the roll, Carla.
Saltzman,
Aye.
Fritz,
Thank you for making the trip. Go Ducks. Aye.
Right.
Fish,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The report is accepted. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll go back to time certain 8:09, please.
Accept the quarterly Technology Oversight Committee report from the Chief Administrative Officer.
Colleagues, the Technology Oversight Committee provides citizen oversight on significant city technology projects, especially those that are identified as either having high risk or high cost. This gives us early and continued technology oversight by an independent 5-member committee for the purposes of increased transparency and accountability. TOC sends quarterly reports to the Chief Administrative Officer, who then forwards those reports to us, the Council. The quarterly reports include information from each project's independent quality assurance consultant and the Technology Oversight Committee's assessment of the project's status. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Jen Clodius, the Strategic Communications Manager in the Office of Management and Finance and the staff support for the TOC. With me today are Jeff Baer, Director of the Bureau of Technology Services, and TOC member Dr. Wilfred Penfold, who is appointed by Mayor Wheeler. As you know, TOC is made up of 5 community members, each named by one of you. The other TOC members are Ken Neubauer for Commissioner Fish, Diana Garcia for Commissioner Fritz, Mike Lynch for Commissioner Saltzman, and while he was not a member during this quarter, Jimmy Goddard has joined the TOC as Commissioner Udaley's representative. The TOC, as the mayor said, advises the CAO, Tom Reinhardt, and we are here to present that report from April through June. There is more information that goes beyond that, and Jeff and Wilf will catch you up. TOC has also been working with the City Budget Office on their new budget permitting, or their new software replacement project, and they've also been working with the Portland, Oregon website refresh team. And on the next set of dashboards in 3 months, you'll see updates on those. For today, we are only going to be telling you about the POPs dashboard. So with no further overview, there it is.
Thank you, Jen. Again, Jeff Baer with the Bureau of Technology Services. And just give you a quick update on a couple of different activities that have been going on. And I don't want to steal too much of our thunder for the next presentation at 3 o'clock that we're keyed up with. But a number of big developments or milestones that we developed or achieved this past cycle was we got the whole Amanda 7 migration development system infrastructure ready. Also the test environment's ready to go. So we've got the key foundation for the whole system is ready at this point. Our next big major accomplishment would be the whole production and infrastructure. So I'm going to reserve a lot of other comments for our presentation here in a few minutes, and I want to turn it over to Dr. Penfold to provide some other comments from the TOC perspective.
Yeah, I would say that we're very optimistic at the moment. I think two of those programs that you mentioned, Jen, are doing extremely well. The CBO program is very much on track. The website program is particularly exciting because we're looking at deploying an agile method for how we're doing the website, which the TOC has been very supportive of for some time, and we're seeing really good progress there. We're also feeling good about the POPs program. It's trending in the right direction. We were very happy to see a workable schedule this time through, and we expect to see a budget very soon. So we're optimistic, and hopefully next time we'll have more updates.
Would you care to share what quality assurance said in the June meeting or the July meeting?
The information about the yellow and the green.
Yeah.
So we, the TOC, are currently rating everything as yellow until we see that firm schedule and the firm budget. I think the quality assurance group felt more optimistic about where we were with schedule, but we're holding ourselves back. We don't want to see go up and down. So we want to. Until we're sure that we're in green space and we're going to stay there for a while, TOC will hold our position at yellow.
Very good, Commissioner Fritz.
Isn't this the first time we haven't had any red on this chart?
I think it's getting close, yes.
Yes.
We're feeling very optimistic.
In fact, quality assurance actually rated the project green in July.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Good. Better to be conservative.
Yeah, that was our
promise and over deliver. Very good. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, please call the roll.
Saltzman,
Good work as always, and thanks for your service. Aye.
Fritz.
Commissioner Saltzman, this is one of your lasting legacies to have established this committee, and we really appreciate Dr. Penfold, especially your work. Thank you, Director Rebecca Esau, who's here today, Alshad and others who are here from the Bureau of Disabilities Services. This has been a long project and still a ways to go, but it's nice to see that it is on track. And I know that everybody's worked really hard on it throughout, so it's nice to see that that hard work is finally starting to pay off. Aye.
Fish,
Yes, thank you for your good work. Aye.
Wheeler.
I think this is a great model of accountability and transparency, and frankly, I enjoy getting these reports as a start, but I enjoy even more getting the reports and seeing the red disappear and seeing the yellow appear and knowing that we're getting very close to green, particularly on some of the higher cost, higher risk projects. So thank you all for your commitment to this and your service. I vote aye. The report is accepted. Thank you. We are still ahead of schedule, so we'll go to 812 if we have Randy here. I believe we do.
812, pay bodily injury lawsuit of Colin Christopher and Emily Firstenow in the sum of $200.
No, sorry, Carla,
No.
they're not here. Do we have, we'll take a 7-minute break. We're in recess. The next item is item number 810, Carla.
Authorize a $4,512,415 five-year contract with a five-year option with CSDC, Inc. to continue implementation of the initial phase of the Amanda upgrade and continued maintenance and support of the computerized permit tracking system for Bureau of Development Services.
Colleagues, dovetailing on the conversation we just had about POPs through the Technology Oversight Committee report, the item before us is a budget request of, as you just heard, $4,512,415 to renew the current contract to the city's permit system vendor, CSDC Incorporated, through 2023. Passing the ordinance today will allow the POPs program to, that's the Portland Online Permitting System program, to continue the upgrade of the permitting system tools that many city staff across the Bureau of Development Services and its interagency partners rely upon. A critical component to this upgrade is the delivery of 6 projects over the next year to improve service to our customers. This is the top enterprise-wide technology project for the city, and I'm eager to see the POPs program achieve its projected goals. I'm requesting that we move decisively to ensure this collaboration towards delivery of an enhanced customer-driven online permitting system continues. I want to thank Commissioner Udaley, who obviously could not be here today, the Bureau of Development Services, the Bureau of Technology Services, and the Technology Oversight Committee for your work moving the Portland Online Permitting System forward. With that, I'd like to invite Director Esau and Director Baer from the Bureau of Development Services and the Bureau of Technology Services, respectively, to present. And I understand that we have a few invited guests after the presentation as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Very good. Take it away. And welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners. To provide context about the work our computer system supports, we will walk you through some information about the city's development activity. The information I'm going to provide you is for fiscal year 17-18. With the boom in construction activity, we've issued 10,324 construction permits in the last fiscal year and collected $191 million in fees for these permits. These fees are for BDS as well as our interagency partners, BES, PBOT, Water, Parks, the Housing Bureau, and the Fire Bureau. When you travel around the city, the number of cranes you see is a direct result of permits issued and under inspection by our staff and our interagency partners. These projects are providing jobs and adding value to the community. The valuation of all of these development projects is $3.03 billion in the last fiscal year. This number is an unprecedented amount of investment in the city of Portland. It also speaks to the scale and complexity of the projects being constructed. The resulting demands on city staff to keep up with the review and issuance of permits, in addition to delivering timely inspections, places strain on our 1999 era permit tracking system. The city's development services process is collaborative and involves a minimum of 7 bureaus working together throughout the process. Our permitting system impacts many city staff across these and other bureaus. The tools staff and our customers use are directly impacted by the requests and updates we are presenting to you today. Nearly 50,000 customers have been to the Development Services Center in person this past fiscal year. Of the 10,324 construction permits issued, 52% were what we call over-the-counter permits, which means we reviewed the project at the counter with the customer there and issued the permit that same day. Our current customer portal issued about 27,000 trade permits, such as electrical permits and plumbing permits. All of these permits required inspections. Over 125,000 residential inspections and almost 66,000 commercial inspections were conducted. We are here today for 2 key reasons. We are requesting authorization to execute a contract and funding to continue developing our online permitting system and to provide you with a POPs update. The work POPs is delivering will provide improvements for all of our internal and external customers.
And as you heard, POPS is the Portland Online Permitting System, and our goal is to modernize this 1999 era permitting system into a 21st century business solution, providing online, mobile-friendly, and enhanced customer service delivery system. And to do this, we need a contract. Thanks, Carl. And our current contract expires at the end of August, and what we're hearing today is that we are midstream in development of many exciting projects to be delivered this fiscal year. And as we heard from the TOC quarterly report, the program is trending towards green status for the first time in many years. And the requested contract term is set to run through 2023, and the contract value for this work is $4,512,415.
We've established a Phase 1 implementation plan with specific milestones using a collaborative approach with our interagency partners. The timeline you see shows key milestones associated with the 6 projects currently underway. These projects show our shift to using an incremental rollout approach. One of the exciting success stories since we last presented a POPS update to Council is the Master Address Repository project. You probably don't think about addressing much, but BDS does the addressing for all new development in Portland. We have a short video for you about this project.
Jake and the POPS team recently created a new front-end application called Bds Maps. It's similar to Portland Maps, and it has kind of brought all of the research that we need and the information that we need to one place. We did just have our rollout today, and it was fantastic. The first commercial address I maps to see kind of what's going on, what addresses we have available. I was able to just sit down, probably took me maybe 5 minutes.
We do hundreds of addresses a month, so this is going to save quite a bit of time. Whenever the address gets created in the Bds Maps, that address is automatically updated in the track system.
This is really going to allow us to move forward with, I think, cleaner data and not have to be going back and fixing things later on down the road.
This is just one of many enhancements coming your way from the POPS program. You can read more about it at portlandoregon.gov/BDS/POPS.
So next, I mentioned earlier that there are 6 projects running concurrently under the POPS program. We have a video that walks you through each of those projects within the POPS program.
When Portlanders have a development project, whether it's a kitchen remodel or a multi-million-dollar high-rise, they come to the Development Services Center in downtown Portland. It's the city's one-stop shop for anyone who wants to build or make changes to structures. Each BDS review group has expertise and jurisdiction over local, state, and international building codes. Staff at partner bureaus such as water, transportation, environmental services, and fire administer their own codes too, right here in our building. At BDS, we aim to provide efficient service and are always looking for ways to improve, which is why we have the Portland Online Permitting System, or POPS. POPS is making significant improvements to the systems used for development review in Portland. It will change the way that we do business, but it's not going to be like flipping a switch. With so many business processes, changing everything at once would be a disruption to our customers. Instead, it's all about making incremental improvements. With POPS, there are 6 improved functions that will be implemented, including electronic plan review, web-based customer portal and inspection scheduling, and mobile apps for our inspectors and customers. One of the largest projects led by POPS is upgrading software used in the current TRACS permitting system, which is a system we've used to track and manage permits since 1999. To understand how POPS will affect customers, let's look at what the city does now. Permit technicians use a checklist to determine that the customer's permit application package is complete. Once all the information is in place, the permit technician inputs it into TRACS. Each permit application package has 4 sets of plans. With some projects, plans need to be reviewed by more than 20 review groups. This can slow things down by having to route plans to 4 reviewers at a time until all of them have completed their reviews.
For the Concurrently expansion project, when we went to submit that project to the process manager, we had hundreds of pounds of material, rolls of plans, boxes of specifications. So it took a hand truck and 2 or 3 helpers to lug it all up.
This summer, POPS is rolling out electronic plan submission and review for a small group of our largest projects. We plan to expand to more projects in the near future. Electronic plan review allows all potential reviewers to look at plans at the same time. They can count specific things like water fixtures and trees and keep a digital tally to make sure everything is where it's needed on a plan, right from their screen. They can also see the comments and markups of other reviewers, which will help avoid conflicts.
We don't print blueprints and hard copy drawings anymore except for the City of Portland. You know, if there's a way to find out what your check sheet is, what are the issues you need to resolve, and resolve it all from your desk, that's a fantastic improvement.
Based on these first reviews, customers often have to come back into the Development Services Center to make corrections on their paper plans. When the plans pass all plan review groups, we issue a permit, which gives the customer permission to start doing construction work. While some types of permits are issued from our existing online portal, most types of construction permits need to have their fees paid and the approved plans picked up in person at the Development Services Center. Next year, POPS will be rolling out the first phase of the expanded customer portal. In this first phase, we will launch the ability for customers to pay permit and development review fees, have expanded search capabilities, and access to documents online.
Time is money for all of us out in the field, being able to speed up that process so that we can just stay at our offices or on our construction sites to take care of the things we need to do, rather than coming down here is a great tool.
Transparency for the public will also increase, allowing greater access to information about development in their neighborhood. During construction, customers need to request inspections along the way to make a permit final. Right now, customers call our phone system to schedule each required inspection. Inspectors start their day at 6:30 a.m. They print out a list of their inspections and input them into Google Maps to organize their route. It can take an hour or more to set up their inspections for the day. Thanks to POPS, a new automated scheduling system will optimize the routes that inspectors will take. These changes will help minimize time in the office at the beginning and the end of each day, maximizing capacity to get inspections done in the field. Inspectors take notes and photos of different project sites throughout the day. Each inspector has their own system of managing paperwork for each of the inspection sites. At the end of the day, they type up all their notes into tracks and download photos from their camera to put into the report. This can take a couple hours to do, which is time they're not spending doing actual inspections. POPS will also roll out improvements so inspectors can do their work with a single app. Inspectors will be able to access tracks on their phones and tablets. And when they're on site, inspectors can take notes on their phone. They can even take photos and videos that get uploaded directly into the new track system. Within the next year, POPS will offer contractors an app to help them schedule and track inspections. They'll also get notifications for inspection results and can see those results right from their phones.
I think that when people are informed, there are less of these questions that sort of live in the ether, like what's happening with my plans, or who's got them, or who needs to look at them, or maybe it's my designer or architect or contractor who hasn't done their work, instead of them thinking that it's the city that hasn't done their work. So I think it's going to bring like a new level of information sharing and transparency that will kind of keep everybody happy.
POPS is part of the City of Portland's efforts to put our customers at the center of everything we do. What do you want to build today?
So I'd like to thank the communications team at BDS for putting these videos together, and the customers and staff who worked hard on getting them together. POPS is finding success using an incremental approach focused on the delivery of an enhanced customer-driven online permitting system. By utilizing small projects that each add new functionality, POPS will be rolling out improvements in vital increments without disrupting the overall system. The approach allows our team to focus on the highest priorities first. Since February, we've accomplished a lot. The addressing project was a success. We developed an implementation plan for the 6 projects you just heard about. And within the last week, POPS has launched phase 1 of one of those, the electronic plan review project. And the first applicant has submitted their commercial building permits electronically last Friday. The second applicant plans to submit their plans in mid-September. Then we will open it up to a larger subset of commercial permits and continue rolling it out incrementally to more permit types. POPS has and will continue to address all quality assurance and technology oversight committee recommendations. Risk reduction and effective implementation are key tenets of our program. We're very pleased to share these accomplishments with you and look forward to addressing any questions that you have about POPs. We appreciate your support in our request for the POPs contract to continue this work. And next, we have several customers and interagency partners here to share their perspectives with you.
Thank you. So I have a list here, Director. You said you want me to call them up in this particular order? Yes. So first, Brian Sheldon from the Port of Portland, Jennifer Hoffman from Opsis Architecture, and Anna Galloway from Carlton Hart Architecture. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Brian, do you want to kick us off?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm the permit coordinator for the Port of Portland. Been running permits for over 20 years now. And I'm very much looking forward to the POPs program because of all the benefits that you've saw in the video and you're probably familiar with as well. But just to touch on some of the highlights, the online payment system as part of the program, it's something I'm really looking forward to because it's a chore to just run down to the permit center to wait in line to pay for a permit fee when I could do that online. In fact, the FPP program has allowed me to do a kind of a beta test on an online payment system, and it's been working flawlessly. I've been using it for the last 3 or 4 months, so I sort of know what we're in store for that. Another highlight of the POPs program I'm looking forward to is the online permit document submittal, because now there's quite a lot of paperwork that's involved in getting a submittal in for some of the large projects, especially what we have going on out the airport. So to reduce the amount of paperwork and transferring that to the city, I see that as a big benefit for me, but also when it comes to plan review and the need to update drawings in response to review comments, when we're having to open up large volumes of plans. Sometimes we have projects with multiple volumes, and then of course there's 4 sets of plans each for each project. That's quite the activity, having to pry open these large drawings, slip sheet large drawings in, and to keep track of that, make sure it's all done properly. That goes away with online submittal. So that's another big benefit, a customer service benefit that I'm very much looking forward to. Maybe the last highlight I'll share with you is just the ability to go into tracks from an online resource. So, currently, if we want to use tracks, we need to be at the city offices to get in there, and there's information in the tracks system on permits that are valuable to us that sometimes we need to know, especially for tracking the status or maybe tracking the inspection status of our projects. Can't currently do that. Portland Maps gives us an alternative that's not too bad, but to be able to look at status currently or current time is something I consider to be a nice benefit that the POPs program is putting forward. So that's the highlights I just wanted to share with you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Next up, Jennifer Hoffman.
I'm Jennifer Hoffman, Senior Project Manager with Opsis Architecture and formerly with Carlton Hart Architecture. So while I was there, I was managing the Woody Guthrie Place project, which is an affordable housing project currently under construction. And we were working closely with PHB and Prosper Portland at the time. And were approached about doing electronic plan review for that project. And thought about it and wondered if it would take us more time because we knew it was in infancy and we were being asked to give some feedback, but thought that it would be a good one to try for that project. that was pretty out there. People knew a lot about that. So we took it on, and I will say from a management perspective, I see a lot of advantages similar to what you shared. We saw a reduction in time and a reduction in resources. Obviously, the staff time to print, run down to the city, wait in line, replace sheets, and update drawings takes a lot of time, and that's time that can be better spent to projects. The cost of resources, printing 4 sets of documents, including specifications, is costly, and that cost gets passed on to our owners in reimbursables. So it seems to save us time and money if we can get through review faster by just sitting at our desks and doing it electronically. I see a lot of advantages to that, where we can have our staff's time go toward the project. I think the other benefit that I saw was in not having to print, we're saving resources, and we're up to date with the way we do our drawings. We very rarely print sets anymore. We don't give our owners sets. Typically, we have PDFs and people mark up things online, and this would be consistent with the way that we work in our own profession now. At Carlton Hart, we are a paperless office, so having to print sets goes against our goals in terms of sustainability, so we are very much in support of that, I think, across the profession. So I think for us, it was a very positive experience. I think the small glitches we had are improved in this next issuance of the software, and so we gave that feedback to the city, and I think it was, it's been taken in. We completely, I think as a profession, would support training and development of the POPS program for sure.
Excellent, thank you. We appreciate your being here. Good morning.
Good morning, afternoon.
I mean, good afternoon, yeah. I don't know what planet I'm on. Thank you.
Somewhere around there. I'm Anna Gallo with Carlton Hart Architecture. I worked on Woody Guthrie as well. For me, coming from Seattle in 2015, where they had already implemented online permitting and plan review, it was kind of surprising to get here and not have that process. So I was very excited to get to test it out with Woody Guthrie. For us, it was really convenient having all the information in one location. We don't have to wait for 7 separate emails on plan reviews and check sheets. We were able to compile all the information quickly and get it out to our consultants. The PA was able to get me my work really quickly. We were able to return the responses faster. So it was just the ability to disseminate information faster allowed us to get work done faster and get the project moving. And again, repeating what they said, the physicality of having to bring all of those sets down to the city, which would typically have been my job, carrying those sets took at least 2 people, getting all the materials, the specifications, the drawings. It was a lot of physical work as well as work in the office just to put things together. So saving time and getting to actually respond to items and learn a little bit more every day was really great.
Thank you. All 3 of you, thank you for coming in and sharing your perspectives. We appreciate it. We have one more panel, representatives from Bora Architects, PBOT, and Water. Come on up. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Shall I start it off?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I should have brought larger font. My apologies. My name is Arjen Duivenstein. I'm with Bora Architects. I'm currently in the final few months of wrapping up a high-rise project in the Pearl District that served as a pilot project for the Project Docs electronic plan review system, which is related to POPs. This was a complex project with many stakeholders and multiple packages. We worked closely with BDS staff and submitted all the documentation online. The plans were reviewed, revised, approved, and finally stamped all electronically. The only time we had to come down to the permitting center was to have meetings and for fees to be paid, and I understand that that's actually in the works to be worked on. Being a pilot project, this new electronic process was not without its struggles, and it required a steep learning curve and some creative workarounds on both parts of BDS as well as the architects. But even with these bumps in the road, the system had numerous advantages, very similar to what my colleagues had mentioned earlier, over the paper plan versions. And I think that this is especially true for larger projects. To start with the obvious, the system is paperless, which corresponds much more closely to the way in which the architects work today. Engineers, contractors, architects, we no longer work with paper plans. Everything is PDFs. We share them, we mark them up, send them electronically, and this is how POPs will work. When working through difficult issues with a plan reviewer, revised sheets or documents could be resubmitted and instantly seen online, speeding up review time and also creating a more collaborative atmosphere between the applicant and the reviewer. There was no need to go back down to the permit center to go swap out sheets like had been mentioned before, which was a great benefit. Progress of individual reviews by the different departments could easily be tracked online and shared with our contractor and client and keep them informed, which is really helpful for fast-track projects especially. And additionally, the contractor submittals were also able to be submitted online, which gave the contractors team the same advantages that I just mentioned of not having to come down here as well. It's been a real pleasure working with the BDS team responsible for this pilot. I fully expect the next version to be even more robust and more beneficial. And I think that having a system such as this to help streamline the complex permitting process will be a great benefit, not only to the A&E community and owners, but also for the city staff as well.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Capsule Kruger, Development Services Division Manager within Transportation, and I want to lend my support to this project and thank you for your support of this effort. I also want to thank Director Esau and Director Bear's efforts to get this project righted and moving along. Have been a part of this project for a long time. This is the smoothest it's been operating as I've been a part of it, and we couldn't be more excited to have the end product show up on our desks sooner than later. The amount of time we spend trying to find plans in the building, that's not time well spent with plan reviewers that want to get the permits out the door to get these projects built. We committed a little over a year ago to you, Mayor, that we were going to deliver online permitting for what we call minor improvements, sidewalk driveway permits. We implemented that about a year ago. Applicants don't have to come in, pay at the cashier. They can do that from their desk at their office. We want to have that system integrated into the new POPs system so it's seamless and it's tied in directly with the POPs program, and we're looking forward to having that happen. And then to be able to generate reports and tell you more easily what it is we're reviewing and permitting and how many and what kind. We can't do that very easily today. And just ironically, it's a system that you can't even hit an enter button without undoing everything you just did. It is so outdated. So we're excited to have something web-based and current and delivering permits faster.
Excellent, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Erin Mick, and I'm the Development Services Program Manager for the Water Bureau. And on behalf of the Water Bureau, we would like to confirm our unwavering support to BDS and the POPs program. We too have been involved since the inception, and BDS has done a very good job of including all of the interagency bureaus for this program. Plan review efficiency will improve simply from managing less paper and by being able to view all staff comments easily. The POPs program will also be able to provide reporting capabilities that we currently do not have that would benefit all of us and that Council has requested. Additionally, the contractor applications and inspection mobile devices will provide a new framework of possibilities that other bureaus, including the Water Bureau, will look to when improving their operations. Once implemented, the POPs program will be a new standard for how development and construction can be done in an efficient and safe manner. It will bring a ripple of positive technological change throughout the entire city, and we are excited to see it go live. This is why the Water Bureau is committed to support BDS and the POPs program.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. Commissioner Fritz.
I have a question. First of all, I want to thank the community members who took time to come in. Thank you. That's really helpful, and I'm glad it's going to work for you. For staff, when you have a system where people are waiting in the Development Services Centre or you have a stack of papers in a line, it's not equitable because it's not, some people can't spend that amount of time. But for staff, the order is whatever the order is that they come in at. What's the system now for making sure that you process the applications in a manner that's free of bias, so that you're not going into the particular email from the person who may or may not be a friend or a foe, those kinds of things. How do you manage that as part of the system?
It's managed by the system that's in place today. As permits are submitted, they come in the queue and they go to the bottom of your to-do list. And so staff work their way down from the top of their to-do list, and eventually that project that came in will rise to the top. We don't know who the applicant is, where their project is, what language they speak. It's a number that comes in and it's reviewed in order that it's delivered.
Unlike my emails, where I can scan the whole lot of them and decide which ones to prioritize.
Well, that is a different matter, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Very good. We appreciate your testimony today. Carla, do we have public testimony on this item?
No one else signed up.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we will call the roll.
Saltzman?
Did you have further
I
remarks?
just wanted to thank the community members for coming in and testifying, as well as our interagency partners for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, and thanks for the people who are here today to testify in support. It does look like it is rolling, so I look forward to the dramatic improvements this will bring to our permitting community and to our city when these are up and running. Thank you. Hi.
Fritz?
Thank you very much to everybody who's been working on this. I need to do my usual clarification that this project has nothing to do with me. I really would like somebody to tell me what the acronym Amanda stands for, because otherwise I'm tempted to make up one. And obviously it's something that we wished we had done or been able to do a very long time ago, but it's not easy to do. So thank you to both Technology Services and Development Services and all of the bureaus who work with it too for figuring out how to do it. And glad to hear that it's progressing well. Aye.
Fish?
I love it when Commissioner Fritz does that disclaimer, and I guess I should do the same thing because of our friend in the video who's with Fish Construction, no relation. Although he's a good guy. I guess he's now the current head of the DRAC. A particular individual. This is a long time coming. Thank you for an excellent presentation. It's clear that there's an enormous public benefit in getting this right. The path has been circuitous to getting us to this point, but it sounds like we're now on the right track. And I appreciate the update, and you've earned my confidence, so I'm pleased to vote aye today.
Wheeler?
I want to thank Director Esau, Director Baer, my colleague, Commissioner Udaley. I want to thank our community partners who are really our customers in this for helping us to shape a system that is customer friendly, and just lay this down as a really good start. When I came in, this was thoroughly read, and it's been right-sized, and I want to thank our directors for your personal commitment to this project and seeing that there is a strong public good to making sure that we're more efficient, more effective, that we have reduced the time, the cost, and the hassle factor associated with the permitting process, and we're leveraging readily available technology, which is something we should always seek to do. So I see this as a really good start, and I look forward to seeing how this progresses and how we use this as a foundation from which we can evolve further in terms of strengthening our permitting process. I thank you all, and I vote aye, and the ordinance is adopted. We have one, sorry?
Can we
Please.
thank three more people?
Yeah, sure.
Who've been working incredibly hard, project managers, Dwayne Whitehurst, Dan Cote, and Sabi Warch in the back here, who have put in many, many hours to make this happen and make this positive presentation today.
Could you raise your hands again? Thank you. We appreciate it very much. Thank you all. And I believe, Carl, if I'm not mistaken, we only have one more item. I believe it's 812.
Correct. Pay bodily injury lawsuit of Colin Christopher and Emily Firstenow in the sum of $225,000 involving the Portland Bureau of Transportation.
I think we have Randy Stenquist here. Is that correct? Yeah. Here he comes. Good afternoon.
Hello. How
Thanks
are you?
for being here.
So my name is Randy Stenquist. I am the Liability Claims Manager and Risk Management. With me today is Senior Deputy Attorney William Manlove. Risk and the City Attorney's Office are recommending approval of the ordinance before you, which is a mediated settlement of a lawsuit brought against the city by Colin Christopher and his wife, Emily Forstenow. In July of 2014, Mr. Christopher was involved in a motor vehicle accident on Southeast 82nd Avenue and Southeast Yamhill. 82nd Avenue, also known as State Route 213, is a highway under the jurisdiction of the Oregon Department of Transportation. The crash occurred as Mr. Christopher was attempting to make a left turn onto 82nd Avenue from Southeast Yamhill. Mr. Christopher was lawfully in the intersection on a green light and had just started his turning movement. Another vehicle, driven by DeMontre Washington, was traveling northbound on Southeast 82nd at a very high rate of speed, approaching the red light at Southeast Yamhill. His speed was approximately 50 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour posted zone. The front end of Mr. Washington's car T-boned Mr. Christopher's Jeep, striking the driver compartment with considerable force. It is not known why Mr. Washington did not see or heed the traffic signal. Mr. Christopher suffered serious permanent injuries and is now a quadriplegic. And Mr. Manlove is here to explain the litigation history.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Christopher and his wife filed their lawsuit here in Multnomah County. They sued ODOT, the city, the property owner that owned the property on the southeast corner, and the business that was located on that property. It was a used car sales business. Their main complaint with the defendants was that one or all of them had allowed certain obstructions to exist on the corner of the intersection. And as Mr. Christopher was driving into the intersection on the green light, he had no ability to look to his left and see Mr. Washington coming to him because these obstructions blocked his view. It was essentially an allegation that the defendants had failed to provide adequate sight line distances. And one of the primary obstructions on the corner was a 7-foot traffic controller cabinet that was owned by ODOT but maintained by the city of Portland. Mr. Christopher and his wife, because of his catastrophic injuries, they sued for $17.5 million. They did not sue Mr. Washington. ODOT and the city brought suit against Mr. Washington. He never participated in the litigation, and the city and the state took default judgments against him. All of the defendants took Mr. Christopher's deposition. It was a day-long deposition. His wife was there. At the deposition, we learned about his recollection of the accident and how the accident had affected his life. All of the attorneys, after the deposition, we came away with the belief that Mr. Christopher and his wife were highly likable, compelling, and would be very sympathetic witnesses. In fact, after the deposition, the property owner and the used car business, they actually settled the case. They're part of the case with Mr. Christopher and his wife, and they settled each for $250,000. ODOT and the city, we filed a motion for summary judgment in court, and we had different arguments, but one of our main arguments was that there was a lack of affirmative evidence that Mr. Christopher had actually looked to his left as he proceeded into the intersection. And the argument was if there was no affirmative evidence that he actually looked, then the obstructions that may have been there couldn't have been a cause. He couldn't prove that they were actually a cause related to the accident, that they actually were a sight obstruction. Now, he did testify that it was his habit to look left and right as he proceeded through any intersection, and in particular this intersection. He lived about 2.5 blocks away from the intersection. He had recently moved into the neighborhood, and he had testified at his deposition that I think he had gone through this intersection on his way to work maybe upwards between 50 and 60 times. At the hearing, the judge granted our motions, and the city and ODOT were dismissed from the case. Mr. Christopher and his wife, they immediately appealed, and once the matter was before the Court of Appeals, all parties were invited by the Court of Appeals to participate in a mediation program. Our appellate lawyer, Denis Vanier, he took a look at the record below in the trial court, and his conclusion was that, there was at least a better than 50-50 chance that the judgment that we had obtained in the trial court might be reversed by the Court of Appeals. And the thought was, if it was in fact reversed, and it did go back, the case did go back to the jury, that it was highly likely that Mr. Christopher and his wife would obtain a very favorable verdict in their favor. Under the tort cap, the maximum exposure for the city that they could have obtained would be $1.3 million. It was our judgment that, again, if it was in front of the jury, that it was likely that Mr. Christopher and his wife would obtain that amount. The settlement that we're asking you to approve is, as Mr. Stenquist mentioned, it's a result of a mediation process. ODOT also participated in that mediation. They've agreed separately to pay Mr. Christopher and his wife $400,000. So given the risk of reversal on appeal, given the risk of what a damage award might look like from a jury, we think this is a good settlement, and we recommend that you approve it.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. And the memo that you've given us is very comprehensive. Your presentation is very comprehensive. Can you explain, though, just again, why, assuming that we were determined to have as little as 7.5% of the total liability, so as if a jury were to apportion liability and gave us a rather modest piece of it, why that could trigger the whole amount of the $1.3 million cap?
Absolutely, Commissioner. So the jury would be looking at allocating liability amongst all of the defendants: ODOT, the city, the property owner, the business on the property, and Mr. Washington. The allocation would be for all of those defendants. Because of Mr. Christopher's damages, because there were so much, again, at the time of his injury, he was 38 years old. He was, I think he was studying to get his master's in counseling. Given his life expectancy, given what he told us about his needs for his daily care, being a quadriplegic, the damages that he pled in the complaint, $17.5 million, we thought, and we had hired our own expert, a life care planner, to sort of help us assess the reasonableness of those numbers. And we believe that it was likely that the jury would award him that amount. Now, with respect to getting to the tort cap, the $1.3 million, again, the calculation was the $1.3 million. If we did our math correctly, it's about 7.5%
of his total claim.
Of the total claim.
Okay.
So that was the thought, that the jury, they could have given Mr. Washington 50 or 60%, but if they gave the city even 7.5% of liability, we were going to hit the tort cap.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Could I just ask a procedural question? Typically, we don't get these coming as part of the regular agenda. Is the reason that this is on the regular agenda as opposed to the consent agenda because of the size of the proposed settlement?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I was just curious, do you know whether Mr. Washington had a valid driver's license?
I know that he didn't have any insurance on the car. Okay. And I know that he's judgment proof And that may have been the reason that Mr. Christopher and his wife didn't sue him, and we had to bring him into the lawsuit. But he didn't have any real assets to take care of the harm that he caused.
Yeah, thanks.
Very good. Is there any public testimony on this item?
No one signed up.
Very good. Anything else? Please call the roll.
Saltzman?
Aye.
Fritz? Aye. Fish?
Aye.
Wheeler?
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Approved, and we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.